code that's killing the American people. They hated my guts. I want you to imagine now the Rules Committee, it's not a very big committee, a little semicircle up there, and Senator Pepper sitting up there, and have this little table. It looked like a little, very flimsy table. And I'm sitting here in this chair to the right of Chairman Rostenkowski, who's so close we're touching elbows. And he said, Chairman Rostenkowski, the chair recognized Chairman Rostenkowski. He said, I do not want waivers on this bill. I plan to strike the trafficking language that's in the back of the bill under general provisions. It is clearly a trade provision. It was not authorized by my committee, and I'll be damned if someone's going to change the trade laws of America with a maneuver like this. I don't know what he did politically, but I do not want a waiver of points of order. I plan to raise a point of order and strike the trafficking language. Hey, that is quick and to the point. So I know they're going to go along with the chairman. He's very powerful. They said, gentleman from Ohio, almost word for word. I said, you know, Senator, I called him Senator. I said, the chairman's a big shot. Why don't you screw him for once? Listen, Clark Pepper hit him like a delayed reaction. He almost fell off the chair. He laughed for about 2 minutes. And he said, well, we'll let you gentlemen know. Well, the rule was reported, and it was an open rule. They didn't waive points of order, which means this. I don't care if you're Jesus Christ and you have language in the bill. Mickey Mouse can come in and say, look, I raise a point of order to that bridge because that bridge constitutes legislation appropriation spending bill without prior authorization. It was not approved by the authorizing Public Works Committee. And they get argued till they're blue in the face. Bang! The bridge is gone. Just give you an idea. So I'm going to the floor. I say, these suckers, boy. So we get to the floor, and there's an old chairman from North Carolina. And he loved me. I very seldom flew. I used to drive all the time back and forth. But when I did, I would buy those little bottles of liquor, you know. And I'd sit down with him. I'd say, Chairman, I got a bottle for you. He said, come up after the next vote. Come on up after the next vote. He's from North Carolina. His son's now in Congress. He was a Democrat. His son's a Republican. I'd go up and give him that little bottle of liquor. He'd light up and he'd laugh. He loved it, you know. He says, you know, Sheriff, he said, he said they need this money so bad. The authorizing committee didn't report their bill yet. I said, I know. He said, I got a feeling you're going to do something. I said, I'm going to try it. So spending bills, they read it line by line. They give the introduction and they say, the clerk will read. Title I, Army. Gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Chairman, I raise a point of order to Title I. Constitutes legislation and appropriation bill without prior authorization. I demand to be stricken from the bill. This is the whole Army. All the money. Weapons, everything. They're running around, look like an ant hive. We helped you with this, we helped you with that. What are you doing? You can't do this. It's not me, it's Rostenkowski. I said, talk to Rostenkowski. Parliamentarian says to the clerk, and the clerk says, the gentleman's order is not worded properly. Is dismissed. The clerk will read. I said, Mr. Chairman, gentleman from Ohio. I said, I insist on everything on page 9, line 7, through and including page 34, line 17. Be stricken from this bill. It constitutes legislation appropriation bill without prior authorization. I demand the rules of Congress. They're running around for about 5 minutes. Watch this. Point of order sustained. Clerk read. Army's gone. Title II, the Air Force. Chairman. Gentleman from Ohio, point of order, Title II. Any comments? Title II is gone. Title III, the Navy. Chairman. Point of order, Title III. Chairman reached across the aisle, said, Rostenkowski called me. He said he won't strike your stuff out if you yield back the strikes. I said, I can't do that. I said, Glenn and Metzenbaum won't keep it in the Senate. It'll go to conference and get thrown out. You think I fell off a turnip truck here? I mean, they didn't talk like this down there, believe me. They never saw a jackass like me, for sure. He said, I assure you it'll be in the bill. I said, well, you know what, Chairman? There's 12 new C-130H Hercules transport aircraft to be built in this bill. And I have 8 old flying C-130B boxcars, and my base will be closed. You give me 8 of those planes this year, and another 8 next year for a full wing, and I'll yield back these substantial strikes. I can't tell you the exact word, cuss word, but basically said, go to hell. And I said, Mr. Chairman, I insist upon. He said, hold it. Hold it. So I'm going to give you those plans. I'm going to give you the language. But I want your word you'll never attack my bill again. He says, you got it. Now listen to this. Listen to this. Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent my pending strike to Title III be vacated, passed over without prejudice, without objection, so ordered. Navy's fully funded, no debate. Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent my heretofore sustained strikes in Title I and Title II be vacated and passed over without prejudice, without objection, so ordered. Chairman stood up. He says, I ask unanimous consent the rest of the bill be considered as read. Without objection, so ordered. Any further amendments? None. Hearing none. $400 billion bill was voted. And Youngstown, Ohio got the only Air Force Reserve base in history. Senator Burton Kennedy said, what the hell's going on over there? Now, I had to get the White House approval, and I had John Deutsch over and George Stephanopoulos, and George Stephanopoulos will admit to us at some point. When they got done talking with me, the Deputy Secretary of Defense at the time, John Deutsch, went on to become the CIA director, just wrote an order. 16 planes, do what it takes, build what it takes, put the men together, put the base together. I would not accept them sending money all over the world. My people with a 20% unemployment rate. But you see, having seen the Deming case, here's my last 2 bills. I sponsored a bill called the Fair Justice Act and was called for hearing. A fight almost broke out in the hearing room between me, the IRS, and the Justice Department. The Traficant bill says that the President would nominate, the Senate would confirm, for a 10-year term, the Director of the Fair Justice Agency. Had only one responsibility: investigate and prosecute crimes within the Justice Department. The fight broke out, was canceled, Capitol Police showed up. Next thing you know, I was indicted by some grand jury. I would have passed that. I'd have embarrassed them so damn bad, they'd have been able to walk under a closed door with a top hat on until they passed it. The other one was I sponsored, along with 2 Republicans, Tozan from Louisiana, Schaefer from Colorado, the fair tax. Repeal the 16th Amendment, abolish the Internal Revenue Service, create a consumption fair tax on all new goods and services. I would have passed that. Everybody says you talk big. 12 years I spent trying to change the burden of proof in a civil tax case. And Mick, I'm sure you know, I don't think there's anybody more knowledgeable on income taxes, on tax schemes, tax code, tax law, and the manipulations of that whole process. But 96% of all tax cases in court are civil law. And up until 1998, the burden of proof was on the taxpayer. The IRS said, hey, you owe $50,000. You say, like hell. Take you to court. Prove it you don't. Prove you don't owe it. And what would happen, the wife would say, I'm worried.